After hitting several islands in the Caribbean, tropical storm Elsa made landfall in Cuba, bringing heavy rains to the central and western parts of the island. A small Russian passenger plane crashed in the Far East Kamchatka Peninsula. No survivors among the 22 passengers and 6 crew on board. Tensions is on the rise between Ethiopia and Egypt after Addis Abeba's decisions to build a dam on the Nile River, source of life for the entire region. Hello, welcome to From the South, from the TeleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. This is Janet Perez Moya. Let's begin. Tropical storm Elsa left Cuba and it's heading for the Florida Keys in the United States. A hurricane watch has been issued for most of Florida. Even though Elsa has already left Cuban territory, western provinces like Matanzas, Havana, Mayabeque, and Artemisa continue to be in a tropical storm warning situation. Mild floods and heavy rains did not cause major damage on the Cuban territories, authorities report. Meanwhile, in the United States, in addition to Florida, a tropical storm watch has been issued also for the Georgia and portions of the South Carolina coast. The storm is expected to hit U.S. territory by Tuesday afternoon, with sustained winds of 90 kilometers per hour and possible floods. We now go to Havana with our correspondent Diego Martin, who brings an update about the state of affairs in Cuba after the passing of tropical storm Elsa. Diego.
Hello, TeleSUR English. We are transmitting from Havana. Tropical storm Elsa did not cause any major damages in the Cuban capital, as it passed swiftly Monday night with rain across the city, yet no severe affectations were reported. Normal life is resumed in all provinces. The authorities have guaranteed a safe environment for everyday economic and social procedures. It seems mostly like Tropical Storm Elsa was in the heads of people and in the media, hyperbolized by the impact COVID-19 restrictions have on the common citizen all around the world. For TeleSUR English in Havana, I am Diego Martin.
Thank you, Diego. And systematic violence continues in Colombia. A new massacre record in Tolima department was reported on Monday. According to local media, at least 3 people were killed by gunshots in La Trinidad Sidewalk, a rural area in Tolima, last Saturday. 2 of the victims were of Venezuelan origin. Data from the Institute of Studies for Development and Peace detailing that so far this year, 48 massacres and nearly 1,200 social leaders has been killed after the signing of peace in 2016. Also in Colombia, 82 people have been suffering eye injuries by the mobile anti-riot squadron in the framework of the national strike mobilizations that began on April 28, human rights defenders said. According to the non-governmental groups Temblores, 60% of eye injuries have been identified in Bogotá, but they have been also recorded in the departments of Valle del Cauca and Cundinamarca, as well as in the cities of Pasto and Popayán. The director of the Actions Program for Equality and Social Inclusion of Los Andes University, Juliana Bustamante, stated that shooting at the eyes is deliberate, seeking to punish those participating in the protest. In another account, the number of cases identifies rise to 200, the resistance movement against eye injury claims. The Brazilian president has come under further pressure after being personally implicated in an alleged corruption scam involving the supposed misappropriation of his workforce wage. Unpublished recording point that the direct involvement of the President of the Republic, Jair Bolsonaro, in the illegal scam of paying advisors' salaries at the time he served in successive terms of federal deputy between 1991 and 2018. One of Bolsonaro's former sister-in-law, Andrea Siqueira Valle, explained in one of the recordings that the Brazilian president removed her brother André from the illegal payment scam because he refused to give him most of the agreed money of the salary he received. In commemoration of the 210 years of the independence of Venezuela, the acts were held in honor of the pioneers of the emancipation of the country. From the courtyard of the honor of the Military University of Venezuela, the President and the government cabinet made act of presence before the civic military parade on the occasion of the 210 years of the Declaration of Independence of Venezuela. Members of the armed force of the country participated in the event where they ratified their commitment to the sovereignty and independence of the country in the face of any foreign aggression. The President Maduro also recalled that the struggle for Venezuela and its independence allows the country to recover its rights from the illegal sanctions that has been imposed.
The liberator Bolivar was not wrong, the commander Chavez was not wrong, and we are not wrong today when we say we have defended the independence of the state and the Venezuelan nations. Today allow us to be in a position to regain all the social and economic rights that the criminal sanctions have violated against our people.
We will take now a short break. Join us after this. Welcome back to From the South. Russian authorities confirmed that there are no survivors among the passengers and crew on board a crashed plane in far eastern Russia. In an AN-26 aircraft debris was found along the region's Pacific coast. A spokeswoman for the local transport prosecutor's office said the plane was flying from Kamchatka capital Petropavlovsk to the coastal town of Palana. It disappeared shortly before landing. The mayor of Palana was among the 22 passengers on board, as well as 6 crew members.
Now ground services are heading to the crash site to confirm that this is the plane that was searched for. Then we can draw final conclusions about the incident, about this tragedy that happened here in Kamchatka today. Now the most important thing is to confirm the situation. Then assigned aviation authorities will conduct an investigation, and only then we can come to a conclusion about the causes of the disaster that happened today.
And we say in Russia, where authorities in the southern Krasnodar region declared a state of emergency after torrential rains caused flooding over the last 2 days. According to local authorities, heavy rainfall, which started on Sunday, left hundreds of residential buildings under the water. The main directorate of the Russian Emergency Ministry for the Krasnodar region said that the coastal town of Gutsba recorded 170 millimeters of rain, and some areas saw more than 2 months' worth of rain in a few hours. According to the local officials, 136 people have been evacuated, and 64 of them are in temporary accommodation centers. Prime Minister Alain Castañet Monday night announced that St. Lucians will go to the polls on July 26. Nomination day will be on July 16, the Prime Minister said. In an address to the nation, Prime Minister Alain Castañet said, in keeping with the requirements of the Constitution, he on Monday advised the Governor General to dissolve Parliament, an issue that agreed of elections. According to Castañet, both political parties have agreed to abide by protocols established by the Chief Medical Officer and the Police Commissioner, with a view to keeping members of the public safe and healthy. The 42nd regular summit of the 15 Caribbean community heads of governments began this Monday in Georgetown, with the COVID-19 pandemic and response to natural disasters high on the agenda. The two-day meeting at CARICOM's headquarters in the Guyanese capital is chaired by incoming chairman, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown. The impacts of recent natural disasters, including the eruption of La Soufriere volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the widespread flooding in Guyana and Suriname, will also be examined.
Mr. Chairman, heads of government, as we mourn the continuing loss of life and count the costs of lost livelihoods from the COVID-19 pandemic, we must design a recovery that will not only resuscitate our economies, but also enhance the resilience of our community. It is our duty to fortify our community against the factors that threaten its viability and the sustainable well-being of our people. That is a priority which not only has brought us here at this time, but which is the driving force of our integration movement.
Colleagues, it was an honor to serve as chairman of the Conference of CARICOM, heads of government, for the first 6 months of this tumultuous year. During that time, our countries have been faced with uncertainty on many fronts, from virus to vaccines to variants. Through it all, we have rallied and we now stand on a somewhat firmer ground as a result of the coordination and collaboration among member states, associate members, and our institutions.
We meet today against a backdrop of economic, social, financial, and environmental storms, more intense than the hurricanes that swirl around us every year during the season. And like the hurricanes and storms, economic and social turmoil engendered by COVID-19 and its effects threaten our very survival. Indeed, as I speak, several of our member states are recovering from the effects of Hurricane Elsa. I take this opportunity to offer the solidarity and support of the government and people of Antigua and Barbuda and of the entire community to our affected member states.
Jamaica will demand slavery reparations from the Queen of the United Kingdom. The former British colony's government is set to petition Her Majesty for compensation for all its citizens. The Caribbean island gained independence from the United Kingdom in 1962, but has kept the Queen as head of state. Many Jamaicans are descendants of slaves. And now, like many other Caribbean nations, Jamaica wants reparations. Merchants made a fortune as slave traders in Jamaica after it became a British colony. Hackers are demanding a $7 million ransoms to restore data stolen from hundreds of companies worldwide. Frantic research is underway in several countries as a group identified as rebels is the main suspect in the hacking of hundreds of small and medium-sized companies. While mainstream media automatically link this group to Russia, U.S. authorities do not back the claim. The cyber group broke into Kaseya, a Miami-based information technology firm, and used their access to brush some of its clients' information, setting off a chain reaction that quickly paralyzed the computers of hundreds of firms worldwide.
Federal authorities are very, very confident it was the REvil group, which is, it's not state affiliated with Russia. So, they don't believe it's the Russian quote unquote government or the intelligence agencies. It's a worldwide hacker affiliate or hacker associate, if you will, that has people all around the world. And that's whom they are extremely confident is behind this.
We have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Tensions in Eastern Africa rise as Egypt rejects decision of filling up the Great Dam of Rebirth over the Nile River, a shared water supply between both nations. Egyptian officials consider this as an unilateral measure that violates international law and treats their water quota in the Nile, the country's main source of hydric access for agriculture, industry, and human consumption. Meanwhile, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inaugurated Saturday a new naval base in the Mediterranean coast near the Libyan border. In Nigeria, a group of armed individuals stormed a secondary school in the state of Kaduna and kidnapped scores of students. According to local media, the armed group stormed a Bethel Baptist secondary school at around 1 p.m. and fired shots to immediate civilians and security wards. 140 students were reported to have been abducted. Kaduna has recently faced a series of attacks by armed groups, including assaults on schools. In 2020, over 900 people were killed and almost 2,000 abducted in insurgents attacks.
Yeah, I think the principal addressed the parents that were around in the early morning, and later on, the conference officials, that's the Baptist conference officials in Kaduna, came in and they left. So as it is now, I don't really know where they are, but I believe they are taking an action as to what actually happened.
We stand in one voice, we condemn what had happened, and we'll protest, we'll continue to protest until our children are brought back. Continue to talk, we will make noise. We call the international community, we call on everybody, every person that is involved or that is responsible in any way that can ameliorate our problems to come to our aid. We do not have help anymore. Please, they should come to our aid.
Over 1,000 Afghan soldiers crossed over the border of Tajikistan, fleeing Taliban fighters. 1,037 troops sought refuge in this neighboring of the country when Taliban fighters launched an offensive in northeastern Afghanistan. The Taliban, an Islamic armed group created by the United States in the 1970s, is now set to control the country following the US and NATO's withdrawal after 20 years of fruitless military intervention. On Monday, the Taliban warned the United States not to leave any troops under the guise of an advisory role. On Monday, rescue teams toiled through muddy debris looking for survivors in the landslide hit Japanese holiday town as concerns grew that dozens of people may be missing. Soldiers and emergency workers used handheld poles and mechanical diggers into the desperate search 2 days after the torrent of earth slammed down a mound site and threw parts of the hot springs resort of Atami in central Japan. 3 people have been confirmed dead, although authorities are struggling to point that with birds of dozens of residents as they scores in the wreckage of over 100 high-slide homes and another building that were destroyed. China rejected Monday alleged slanders and false reports from the United States and the United Kingdom on Beijing's actions and role in international organizations. U.S. President Joe Biden on Friday urged Western governments to work together to challenge what he called abuse of autocratic states such as China and Russia.
And practices the multilateralism in real sense. The multilateralism that China advocates is a win-win cooperation, not a zero-sum game. It means fairness and justice, not bullying and overbearing. The multilateralism that China advocates focuses on actions, not words, and it is about respect for diversity, not self-reliance. China, together with developing countries, will continue to actively participate in the work of international organizations and contribute to the promotion of international cooperation and the practice of a true multilateralism. The words of some US and UK personnel are slander. The international community has its own judgment on the questions who engages in hegemony and unilateralism in the international community, and who uses international organizations for its own interests and abandons the organizations when there is divergence, and who use financial hegemony to suppress other countries.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also, you can join us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For TeleSUR English, I am Janet Perez Moya. Thank you for watching.